come along this, what is it, Wednesday afternoon, for this panel on the next chapter, Innovation in Sports, Commercialisation and Media Rights. We have at the far end, the very far end, you sound like you're a million miles away from me, Bernado. Bernado Azevedo from Liga, Portugal. We have in the middle, Kike Levy.
Hello, Joe.
Full disclosure, I've worked with Kike before at Facebook. Meta.
Remember, there was a rebranding about
Yes, we met in the metaverse. This is the first time I've met Kike in the flesh, in person. And right next to me, Nawal, Nashed from Adrenaline. Thank you to you all, and thank you for coming. I think a simple question to begin with would be more of an honesty question. And I'll begin with you at the far end, Bernado, and that is, do you or anyone in our industry know where the rights, the media rights, are going to be 5 years from now?
Hi, everyone. And the answer is nobody know. Nobody know.
True.
This is the 1 million question. In fact, if you ask me for 5 months from now, I will keep my answer. Nobody know. The future is so fast moving, and the one that adapts first will win the race. In Liga Portugal, we must be prepared for all the direction, and the final decision, it will be the fan. The fan is the one that will choose the path, and the path could be more digital, more regular as a broadcasting. So at this stage, and I think it's important to share that in Liga Portugal, we are in this precise moment defining the future. The centralization, it will be from 2028 on. So we will define the strategy for the next couple of years. And the fan must be the one that chooses this path. We are trying to put maximizing the fan engagement, bringing new technology, fantasy leagues, our own OTT, content creation, in a way to be more engaging with the fan.
Come on then, Kike, where's it going to be 5 years from now? Bernardo said technology, the fans, but where are the fans? Where are they consuming all of this content?
Excellent question, but not where are the fans today, is where they're going to be in 5 years' time. Nobody knows. Technology is changing at such a pace that every day a new platform emerges. If we think about 2019, TikTok was not a relevant player, let's say, in the sport industry. It was starting to be something interesting. Now it's a huge player. So I think it goes back to Bernardo's point, and we need to be where the fans are and follow the fans. I feel that sports is living a very similar situation that music had in the early 2000s. At the end of the 90s, digital comes in, Napster appears. Now people could download one song, not access the full, don't necessarily need to use the full album. And suddenly the industry collapsed because it was one business model, and the technology allowed for a new use case for the fans and for the consumers that was more appealing for them. It took the music industry 25 years almost to reach the same level of business that they were having back in the early 2000s. And if you look now at the music business, money is not coming from a single revenue source, it's coming from different revenue sources, concerts, festivals.
True.
And I think sport is kind of going through the same transformation in a way, because we've been living on the back of a single major revenue stream, which has been media rights. And now, media rights in a way of packaging and distributing the content through TV, free-to-air or pay TV. And now I think we're going to need to change, and money is going to come from different revenue sources. It's going to come from media rights for certain leagues, but it's going to come from fan engagement in other cases, from sponsorship. And we will need to adapt the experience to where the users are consuming the content.
what are you seeing when you're on your travels, Nawal? Are you seeing number one, a fragmentation that Kike has been talking about? Are you seeing anyone who does know where it is 5 years from now? What are you seeing with your own eyes when you cover the Middle East?
Well, people may assume that they know, but it's never true. We do not know where it's going. We don't know where it's going like 5 months from now, and I do agree with everyone. But maybe we know where the direction is going. Maybe more personalization, fragmentation, data-driven inventory, like digital overlay does right now. And I believe that the winner would be the one who's more flexible, not the one who's following some fixed models.
So flexibility is key.
Definitely.
To be able to adapt to whichever trend comes next.
Exactly. So we can be adapting to everything that he mentioned.
It's flexibility, and I think it's also personalization. And we were discussing this before the panel, because sports is a content where you have a lot the one-size-fits-all approach, where you consume the content, I consume the content. I'm seeing a live game. We have more or less the same experience. But if you think about all the other entertainment experience that we have on our day-to-day, if I think about when I open my YouTube app, when I go into Instagram, when I go into Netflix, all the entertainment experience is personalized. Even the advertising experience is personalized. So I think you need to have, as a sport property, you need to have not just the flexibility to be everywhere, but also the flexibility to be able to personalize the experience to the fans in the different platforms.
I actually had a similar conversation about 2 weeks ago and with a very well-known broadcaster. And my point was, it's like going into a supermarket and being told that for your breakfast you can get the milk in our supermarket, but you have to get the cereal somewhere else. It's that crazy, the way the situation is at the moment. I want to ask you, Bernado, in particular, because you're involved in league rights, and we'll come on to the centralization that you're doing in Portugal in just 1 second. What have you made of the Bundesliga experiment in the UK? And by the way, if you haven't been following this, the Bundesliga has done experiment is the best word, isn't it, to use, where they've given some of their games to YouTube, to Sky Sports, to BBC. Am I missing someone? I think that's it, isn't it?
I think it's a really, really clever strategy, to be honest. They prioritize visibility over revenue. And visibility in this kind of new test and learn for the future. And Kike, it will be the best guy to explore more the new trends that, of course, in Liga Portugal we are aware. But the visibility is key, and this kind of move is really important, because in the past, multiple leagues are only mainly focused on their country. But we are in a globalization. We have fans all over the place. We have a really good example from the Portuguese league. We have a cup, Allianz Cup, and we already achieved more than 50 countries for the new Final Four in January. This kind of achievement for us, it's brand new, because in the past, nobody cared about the world. It's like one broadcaster, one fit solution, zero engagement with the fans, zero advertising solutions that probably will be covered later, to adapt the visibility to each specific region, to each specific language. And this is for sure the future. We need to adapt ourselves to be more global, and this is a really good use case to us.
So you're doing something with Liga Portugal, which hasn't been done before, and that's the centralization. Do you just want to explain a little bit to those who are here when it's happening, why you've gone down that road? Because most leagues actually already have centralization, don't they? And how, and this is the most important question, how do you stroke the egos of the big clubs like Porto, Benfica, Sporting Lisbon, and get them to come on board when they are the power players in the league?
This is we are facing exactly
the toughest thing.
This is the toughest thing for sure. The centralization is a completely game changer, and we are one of the fewer leagues worldwide without this process. And we have this is good for us. In fact, we are not in a good conditions in terms of market, but in fact we could learn with the strategy and the mistakes from the others. We need to be really clever in a way to approach this solution. We are evaluating multiple directions. We have already a plan A, B, and C. The traditional one, our own OTT, Liga TV, that could be a really important role in decentralization. Last week, we already discussed the distribution key. It's another layer of difficulty to achieve the decentralization of the rights, but I'm really confident that from 2028 on, we will have a much better product, a much better infrastructure, a much better engage with the fans, and this will be a game changer for sure.
So, Kike, what happens when you throw the athletes into the mix, into this pot? Because obviously clubs, the big clubs of the world, think they have the power. But you have out there already, and one of them is here in the kingdom, and that is Cristiano Ronaldo, who has more followers, more power than the clubs and probably the leagues, a bunch of leagues put together.
This is not the case only for Cristiano Ronaldo in Saudi. It's a case for probably every sport property in the world. If you look at the football clubs, for example, except 2, 3, Real Madrid, Barca, Manchester United, all the football clubs have at least one player that has more followers than the club.
More followers than the club itself?
Than the club itself. I always like to quote here Sir Alex Ferguson that said, there's no athlete bigger than the club, but when you look at social media, it's not true. If you look at the NBA, LeBron James has more followers than the league and probably more followers than most of the teams together, almost.
This is the basketball in America. Yeah.
And when you think about your distribution strategy as a sport property, and this is a strategy we at NGF are exploring with a recent investment we did in the Italian Female Volleyball League. When you think about your distribution opportunities and windows, athletes play a key role in what I would like to say my upper funnel strategy. I want to use athletes to reach as much people as possible. And that means sharing content with the athletes, highlights, personalized videos for them that they can use on their social media profiles to reach new users. The SPL is a good example of sharing that content. If you look to the players or you go to the league profile or the players profile that are playing in the league creates the highlights to send to the players and distribute it. And I think that's going to be a strategy that we're going to see more and more, and a way for leagues to grow and reach more people. The challenge and how it's as a league, as a centralized league that you have all the rights, how you really monetize that content, no? How you build that relationship with the player where you can monetize the content. At the moment, I don't see a direct model, but there's a lot of indirect models where you can see this monetization happening, and this is mainly through sponsorship. If I distribute my content, to go back to the example of the Italian Female Volleyball League, we have Gabi Guimaraes, biggest volleyball player in the world, almost 2 million followers on Instagram. If she has a piece of content that she can share after every game, we will be reaching more people, and I can use those numbers to tell my sponsors, this is the views we're generating. It's not anymore about measuring just what the leagues makes, it's measuring all the ecosystem. It's measuring the teams and measuring the athletes as well.
So the paywall is not important. You've removed that, haven't you?
Yeah.
The eyeballs is the most important thing to you.
Yeah, I think this strategy will depend, because I think media rights and the classic model there's always going to be media rights money, and the classic model will still work, in my opinion, for the big properties, the tier 1 properties. But going back to the point we were saying before about flexibility, being a tier 1 property in one country, for example, Liga Portugal in Portugal, doesn't mean being a tier 1 property everywhere. So probably the playbook and what you do in Portugal has to be different to what you do in the UK. The example of that you mentioned before with Bundesliga, it's a really good case where, if you think about it, Bundesliga, no doubt, is a tier 1 property. But in the UK, it's arguably tier 4. You have the Premier League, you have rugby, you maybe have tennis.
Motor racing.
You know. And that's why the strategy has to be completely different. So going back to the beginning of the conversation, it's not how things are going to look in 5 years. We don't know how things are going to look in 5 months, and especially you don't know how things are going to look in different parts of the world. So we have to be flexible.
I think that's the takeaway from this panel today, isn't it? We just don't know. We're the first panel here at the World Football Summit that just doesn't know. Nawal, when you travel around, I want to ask you more about the commercialization of all this. How do you tackle that? How do you attack that problem of, well, the players? You've got to get them on board, and then there's going to be a commercialization question from the player's agent. Obviously, the leagues that Bernado was talking about, plus the clubs. You've got 3 people who want a slice of the cake. How do you deal with that?
Well, when you commercialize anything, you need to personalize for each club or each league or each club has a specific player that some brands need to target this specific player sometimes, or the viewers of this specific players. So sometimes when I'm talking about brands, maybe I'm talking more commercial than technical, but sometimes I have brands that want to target a segmentation that watch one player, despite of the club that they're playing in. So it totally has to be tailored in that case.
And do those brands, by the way, do they talk to you about a specific aspect of the player, like a player who has a specific personality, comes from a specific country?
Exactly, not necessarily. It just can be, for example, from Egypt, if he's Mo Salah, who, for example, has his viewership.
Let's discuss Mo Salah, Nawal. She is our Mo Salah expert here today.
I'm just giving the example of it.
I have a funny story about Mo Salah. When I was working at the time at Twitter, and Mo Salah was playing for AS Rome. To give you an example of the power of the players and how you can leverage them to grow in certain territories. And one of the things I was telling AS Rome and the digital team, you should try to do more interaction, more polls, and be more conversational with your audience. And I remember the social media manager of Rome telling me, no, the problem is that, since we got Salah, we cannot do any polls or question to our audience because Mo Salah always wins. And I'm like, what do you mean of Mo Salah always win? We put a poll saying who was the best goalkeeper of Rome history. Everyone votes for Mo Salah. Like, Egyptians are just crazy about voting about Mo Salah.
And that was just his family that were voting. I want to ask you, Bernardo, because this is important and it's the business you're in every single day. Do you think that right now, any sports rights holder, a league, we talked about motorsport before, they don't have a true valuation yet? Is that the problem?
So, answer your question before, we don't know the future. This is true, but we must be prepared for every kind of scenario that we will embrace in the future. And for me, this is the key. We don't know, but we must be super agile and super fast in this kind of adaptation because the fan want this kind of velocity, this kind of adaptation to embrace the future. Regarding your question, of course, I think France is a really good example. The expectation...
Sorry to interrupt you there, Bernardo. So some of you who don't know, in France, Ligue 1, there's been a lot of issues with the rights holder. It was eventually the rights were taken back, weren't they? Who was the rights holder originally? Was it beIN Sports in France?
Yes.
Yeah.
And now DAZN.
Yeah. And as a result, Ligue 1 went direct to consumer, didn't they?
Exactly.
So, sorry.
And I think this is the best example nowadays of this kind of high expectation does not fit to the market purpose and win another layer of difficulty about one single buyer. And this is the lesson that we will try to avoid for the centralization of the right. This kind of one single buyer and a high level of expectation of revenue. This is the best part of be the last ones to embrace the centralization is to learn with these kind of things. And regarding the solution, the French solution, our own OTT, our own channel, we already start our own channel called Liga TV. And in fact, during the summer, we broadcast 3 games, pre-season games, with high visibility, high numbers. This could be today our plan B, but in the future, next 5 months, we can change for the plan A.
At the moment, is that an experiment?
Exactly.
LTV?
Exactly. These kind of broadcasting preseason games, because the rest of the competition, we already have a broadcaster. And we are creating, we hire, and this is a super important thing to share. Part of our board of directors, we hire a chief content office. This is not used, but the guy, Francisco Antunes, bring a new visibility and a new strategy for the content pieces of the Liga Portugal. So nowadays, we have a lot of content every week with the clubs, with the players, to engage, to have more eyeballs in our competition, in a way to prepare the future and to have this as a plan B or A.
And just one more question on that. Is the experiment, is that just taking place in certain territories or is it global?
Global, worldwide. In fact, we completely change our narrative and our way of communication. 1 year ago, we communicated only in Portuguese for Portuguese people. And nowadays, in our social media, in our contents, in our OTT, we adapt all the contents by region. We have English in all of our communication, social media, and so on. Because the internationalization of the brand Portuguese League, which will have a big role to have more eyeballs for sure in this process.
Thank you very much. We have Mikel Silvestre sitting in the audience here, and I know the answer to this question from him, and I'm going to put this question to you guys to finish. Where in 5 years do you think the power will be? Now, Mikel would say, I hope it's with the players. Is the power going to be with the players, in your opinion, and it's just an opinion, with the clubs, with the leagues, or with someone else? Nawal, you first.
It's very hard to say, isn't it?
Or all three.
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say. But maybe it's, now the right holders are not monetizing maybe the global audience, and something like technologies or sports tech might be monetizing more and putting less risk, so that would increase.
Okay.
For me, the power will be shared. It's not going to be with one person. And I think the power is going to be shared as well as the risk. Because we come from a time where sport industry has been used to share, to transfer the risk and the relationship to the fan to a third party. In the past, you sign a broadcast deal, you give all the content to the broadcaster, and the broadcaster was taking all the risk. I think as we move forward, we will see more mixed models where the risk is going to be shared between the distributor, the rights holder, the athletes, and the power will be also shared aligned with the risk.
What a diplomat, eh? What a diplomatic answer, Kike. You should be running for Parliament, you know that. What about you, Bernado? A crystal ball, 5 years into the future?
In fact, unfortunately, I totally agree. The power will be shared. If I need to pick one, I will pick the fan, because most of the times, if you look back in time, nobody cared about the fan. There are no football or there are no any sports without the fans. So the fan must be the most important piece in the puzzle. But we need to define the strategy, and we need to go all together in the right direction. And when I talk all, it's all the leagues, all the federations, the clubs, and the players itself. Because if you go in different directions, the football worldwide will not go in the right path. And the usability, the fan engagement, the fan experience for the fan, it will be a creepy one.
Great answer, Bernardo. And we'll finish on that. I am going with power for the players. Mo Salah is bigger than the club. Thank you very much to Bernardo Azevedo. Thank you to Kike Levy, and thank you to Nawal Nashed.
Thank you,
Thank you, Joe.
This is the last panel of the day. Tomorrow, I've been told to tell you to be here nice and sharp at 10:30 a.m. for the first panel that's taken place in the morning. Thank you.